Hello and welcome to A Circle annesalvewomen. It is my greatest honor today to share with you my true life Mrs. Huxtable, Mrs. Rivian Smith. This is a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, someone who's been married to the same man for over 57 years, and yet who continues to be this activist in her community and making sure that education is really being shared amongst all. And I cannot say enough how fortunate I am to have had the opportunity to be in her home to interview her with the questions that will be heard today. Just to be able to sit in there and listen in and really take in her words is remarkable. It is something that you will find, I'm sure, to be priceless as it enters your heart, your mind, and your spirit, as it did me. So let's go ahead and begin. I cannot wait to share that moment that I had with her, with you. All right, Ms. Smith, I am so excited to have your words of wisdom be spoken today. We're going to be asking you 5 questions. And the first question is, do you see changes for Black lives?
I wish I could say yes. And I had answered this differently before. But when I got to thinking about an experience I had with my granddaughter to support her in the Black Lives Matter march, and there were 3 generations represented in that march. Me, my daughter, and my granddaughter. And I've had the opportunity to look at the focus from the eyes of a parent, from the eyes when I was a teenager, and now my granddaughter, who represented me some 60 years ago, maybe even longer than that. I'll say, 6 years ago, when I protested, when I was a member of SNCC.
Could you explain
SNCC was Student Nonviolent.
Wow. Okay.
Which was a Stokely, I can't think of his last name.
No worries.
But it was a much more aggressive Black movement than what Martin Luther King was doing. It was much more confrontational.
Wow.
And of course, being young, you have this image that old folks don't know what they're doing. And so today it was no different. And so I marched for the same things that I marched for 60 years ago, which was really respect, which was acceptance, which was the equality that you will be referring to later on in this interview. That's all we've ever wanted. Ever since the Civil War, when Tecumseh offered to give the slaves property that they worked on as a way of giving them an opportunity to become fully participating citizens. And that was taken away. That same thing happened when Blacks became prosperous and formed their own towns and communities. They were burned down. We weren't doing anything.
Wow. Yeah.
We always wanted to be accepted.
That's such a good word. Yeah. Yeah.
And so Black Lives Matter was saying the same thing. We matter.
Wow. Yeah.
We have pain. We want to be recognized as people. We're not a threat to you. We've never been a threat. You have terrorized us ever since the Civil War.
Wow. Yeah.
You've terrorized us. You've hung us, you lynched us, You had your Ku Klux Klan run through our town, burning the churches. Recently, you blew up a church and killed little girls. You know, all because we want to be accepted.
Yeah.
And then you want us to honor your Confederate statues, men who perpetrated harm on us. You want them to stand on the plaza where I walk and still have their past lord over me? You can't relate to that?
Wow.
And I'm not saying that the whites of today are to blame for what happened.
That's good to add.
But they are responsible for continuing the terror on, for not recognizing it.
Wow.
And saying that's not right. That's all we want you to say. I don't want you to accept the blame. I'm way beyond that.
Wow.
I'm way beyond that. So, just because I don't see the Ku Klux Klan running through here,
Yeah.
but we do have these white supremacists. So no, things really haven't changed. It's just different.
Right.
You know, I do have the badge of the blue lives to protect me. But at the same time, depending on where I am,
Yes.
the blue lives will look at me as an enemy. So as a black person, I feel, you know, we still are living in two worlds.
Wow. It's very powerful.
Two worlds.
Yeah. Thank you
So-
so much. So the question now is, how did you get so lucky? And I'm putting that in quotations because you live in a prominent neighborhood and a well-known community, and you've lived, to me, such an inspirational life. How do you feel you've gotten so lucky?
Well, to me, luck is the roll of the die. Or it's like dropping the marble in the roulette wheel. Wherever it forms, you know, or falls, you have an opportunity to win money. Luck in life, in terms of how I live, does not play a part in that at all. It's hard work. It's having parents who believe in education. Even though my mother finished high school, college was always pushed
Yeah.
as something she wanted me to do,
Yeah.
and she wanted me to achieve. My husband's parents didn't even finish grade school,
Wow.
and he's the first in his family to not only complete grade school and high school, but to actually complete college
Wow.
out of 8
Amazing.
children.
Yeah. Wow.
And even after getting the degree, we still had to work hard.
Yeah.
Blacks do not have the opportunity to work up through the system because of who they know. That's what happens in privileged people. Blacks are always proving their value. We always have to prove our value and our worth. And I'm reminded that that still is the case, even though my daughter's in her 50s. When she graduated from a HBCU college, in a prominent college in the South, and she graduated with honors. I had someone to speak to my husband about how lucky she was because of where she went to school. And I thought, no, you're not going to slap the quota on her, being black and a woman and in a non-traditional job. Because she still is going to have to prove her value to the company.
Right.
Even if she got in by someone who recommended her, she still has to prove that she has value to the company.
Yes.
And that she is skilled in her job.
Right.
So anything we do, we always have to be better than the next person.
Yeah.
That was something that is taught in every Black community. So when you see people like Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, they all went to school and they worked to get where they are.
Such a good point. Yes.
They work to get where they are.
Yes.
Now, luck is somebody who stumbles upon riches. You know, who happens to find that gold nugget.
Right.
Panning for gold up in Alaska.
Right. Yes.
That's luck.
Yes. Yeah.
But it also involves hard work, too. But that's what luck is.
Thank you for really identifying that and clarifying that. Thank you so much. So the next question is, what mindset then does a person of color need to break through stereotypes?
I don't think it's up to us to break through stereotypes. Stereotypes can only be broken if the person who holds that stereotype is willing to learn.
Got it. Yeah, good point.
And to accept, because I know I'm biased, and I admit that, and I know the consequences that my biases will bring. But I'm not in a position of power to implement the stereotypes. And secondly, stereotyping people is just a way of trying to define so that you can feel comfortable with them.
Yes.
If they fit a certain image, then you can, you know what qualities or what behaviors are exhibited. And so it's easy for you to stereotype rather than to deal with the differences.
That's
so I'm not responsible for anything. You know,
that is a strong statement.
Again, I am who I am.
Right.
And you either accept me like that or you stereotype me to make you feel comfortable.
Oh, yes.
Not to make me feel comfortable.
Wow. That's a really strong statement, Ms. Smith. Thank you. Next question. What do Black people need to do to move forward in the right direction?
Well, now that brings up a big question in my mind, because when you say, what do we have to do as a Black person to do things in the right direction, that to me means somebody has already laid out what the right direction is. And I need to follow it. Okay. To me, there's only one direction, and that is, what do we as a people need to do in order to make any direction functional for the masses? Because if it's the right direction of one group of people, and I have not bought into that, because I have not been considered to be a part of the solution, I am never going to go into the right direction.
Wow.
Because that is not what's best for me.
Right.
Or my family. I think that's why we're having this discussion. We're finally discussing what is the right direction for us to be a holistic community.
Right.
A holistic community. And when you look at the Constitution, they say, we the people. Now, granted, at that time, we were not considered people. We weren't considered anything until the South fell and became a part of the Union. And this is how the Electoral College was formed, because it was based on population.
Right.
There were more people in the South. There were freed slaves there were more people in the North. And they were including free slaves as part of the population because of the abolitionist movement. And so the South still had slaves.
Yes.
So in order to be on par,
Yes.
they considered a slave 3/5 of a person.
Okay. Wow.
So I want to know, what 3/5 did they carve out? Was it from
Right. Right.
the left shoulder across this way? Was that 3/5?
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know?
Wow.
The whole notion is mind-boggling to consider 3/5 of a person.
Wow.
But nonetheless, that's how negotiations went in order for the South to become a part of the Union. That's when the Electoral College was born, on 3/5 of a person.
Wow.
So I'm glad for I'm glad to answer that question, because I've been trying to get that out to people. You know, they keep talking about the Electoral College, and they don't know it was based on a slave system. Everything is based on a slave system. The White House was built by slaves. The White House had a jail for slaves. You know?
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's up, and it's everybody needs to know that history.
Such knowledge base.
That's the biggest problem. We had American history,
Yes.
and now we have Black history.
Yes.
If we don't put those two things together, we will never be accepted.
Wow. Yeah.
Black history is American history. And it needs to be taught together.
Yeah.
Because children need to see that while the war was going on, there were the Buffalo Soldiers. They don't know anything about the Buffalo Soldiers in white history.
I can tell you I don't. Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
They don't know anything about the Buffalo
Wow.
Soldiers fighting in the
Wow.
Civil War.
Yeah. Now, were you taught that, or did you find that out on your own? Was that during your school system?
No, I was not taught that. I found that on my own.
Yeah.
That's when Black Studies became, I think Black Studies came on in the mid-70s, when there was this big ruckus on white state colleges
Right. Okay.
to have a Black history department. Because
Okay.
they knew that people didn't understand them. Because they don't get that understanding in elementary school.
Right.
And when you bus Black children out of their neighborhood, you're sending a signal that their neighborhood is bad. Clean it up.
Right. Wow.
Clean it up. Make it better. Don't bust them out. They need the community. That's why I know that is why we have the divisions that we have in campuses, because there's no community. And that's why people are fighting, because COVID has destroyed the community. Even the community of school, which children need for socialization.
Yeah.
So the only way they can bring this community back is to have an inclusive approach to teaching. They need to know that George Washington Carver makes the peanut butter that they're eating.
Beautiful, yes.
How many kids know that?
Yeah, oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They need to understand that they had a president, Jimmy Carter, who was a peanut farmer. That needs to be taught as a part of history.
Wow.
Not white history.
That's beautiful, Ms.
Or
Smith.
black history, but history.
Right.
My history is your history. Your forefathers came over on the Mayflower. The indigenous community was here. You know, we don't have Native American history. It's history that happened in these United States.
Such great statements. That is amazing. Thank you. So, before we end this interview, is there anything else you'd like to add that you feel would really close in on this topic, that your heart is telling you you want to make sure everyone, whether it be your granddaughter, your daughter, or many generations, to remember?
Well, I am lucky enough to have lived to have welcomed a great-granddaughter.
Yes.
My great-granddaughter stands on the divide of white and black. She is a blending of a community that's emerging. I think there's a sense that, quote, white Americans are losing power. It's all about power. And I'm not looking at it like power. You are an American like I'm an American.
Absolutely.
We all should be fighting for the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's why the insurrection that occurred at the Capitol was so clear to me that it was the fear of the whites losing control, because all of the focus that our ex-president brought to light occurred in states with large black voters. That was truly a racist lawsuit. That he would focus on communities of color. And so when he's talking about Take Back America, he's talking about, again, denying the blacks the right to vote. There are 27 states that are now changing and making the voting more strident. And the Constitution doesn't say that. It just says that the voter is an American citizen that has the right to vote their conscience.
Right. Right.
They're penalizing these Republican representatives and congressmen because they voted their conscience.
Wow.
That's nothing but a power play. Whites have to get over this power stuff.
Another great statement.
They need to get we don't want to take over the world. We just want to live in the world. We want to live and work beside you.
Yes.
Because we're one.
It's
and you don't have to be religious to see that. You just have to be decent.
Oh my goodness.
Just be
Smith.
decent.
Yeah.
What you want for your child, I want. It has nothing to do with color. It's a human response that all parents have.
Yes.
So if they can just do that, back away. Just if anything, I'd like for them to go put their heads in the sand and just let me be.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting. I fight with people to be respected. Even in the League of Women Voters, you know, we have people that have these attitudes and ideas. I'm fighting here in the city of Mercer Island. You know, they want to have a let's talk about race and focus on racism. And there are two people that sit on the council. One reminds me of an old English lord, and the other one is a female, and she's trying to be all inclusive. Well, we need to study about all isms. No focus. That's what's wrong now. Don't dilute it. Attack it.
Wow.
And get rid of it.
Right.
And this Englishman, he needs to be, we're not in a feudal lord system. So don't be patronizing us.
Wow.
You know, if you can't see it as an issue, then say it. Don't hide anymore. Because your inaction will speak louder than hiding.
Yeah.
So I'm tired. And that's why I march with my granddaughter, because she's going to carry on the fight.
Absolutely.
I can't fight anymore. You know, my fight will probably become violent.
Well, your words of wisdom are strong, and let me tell you, you're getting everyone to listen to what you have to say, and I cannot thank you enough for your time, your strength. You say that you're tired, but your strength is so, it just is in your words. And I know that anyone who's listening has got to be so thankful for your words of wisdom.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Smith. And, you know, you're a remarkable woman. You are Black excellence, and thank you for your time.
You quite welcome. Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime for you.
Well, there you have it, everyone. In the words of Mrs. Rivian Smith on her thoughts of Black lives today. What an honor it is, Mrs. Smith, to have been in your home and just listening in to your thoughts as they came about. Just you being so real and you being so true is truly priceless to me. And I am confident that those words that you spoke really reached out to the hearts, the minds, and the spirits of those who allowed them to sink in today. And I cannot thank you enough for welcoming me into your home, for allowing me to ask these questions, and for you to respond in such a dignified, in such a true to heart way, where I felt I was growing as I was just listening to you. Thank you once again. Keep on going. Keep being you. It is an honor to be just a segment of your life. Thank you again for your time. And I continue to smile upon your many more successes as you keep trucking along. Thank you so much. In the words of my mother, everyone, God bless us all. Let's continue to work towards unity. Let's continue to work towards betterment for each and every one of us, and never giving up, and knowing that each and every one of us matter, and so that we can show Mrs. Smith that we've got it in us to really keep going forward as one, and not thinking that we are lower or anything less than anyone else, that we have to keep working at it and we will arrive, each and every one of us, to each and one of our successes. Have a great day, everyone.